The dark ritual of the Breakfast Club. The air in New York City has always held an energy. It thrummed with the weight of ambition, dreams, and secrets. But beneath the flashing lights and gold-plated facades, the darkness lurked, an ancient, unseen force that bound the city's elites to its own twisted desires. The Breakfast Club was one of its most prominent symbols, a platform that shined in the world of entertainment, revered by millions, but unknown to them, its popularity came at a horrific cost. It all began with Charlamagne Tha God, DJ Envy, and Angela Yee, three celebrities whose lives had been shaped by their quest for fame and power. But behind their friendly banter and on-air chemistry, they each carried a dark secret. The Breakfast Club wasn't just a radio show. It was a culmination of occult rituals, bloody sacrifices, and the selling of their very souls. The journey to the top wasn't easy. For years, Charlamagne, Envy, and Yee had paid their dues, hustling in the underground circuits, doing whatever it took to break into the mainstream. But it wasn't enough. They were on the cusp of greatness, but something was missing. And that's when they were approached by a mysterious figure, cloaked in the shadows. He was known only as the Collector. His offer was simple: sell your soul, and fame, fortune, and power would follow. The ritual began the night they made their pact. The air in the room was thick with incense, and the walls were adorned with ancient symbols drawn in blood. The Collector had laid out the terms. Their souls would be his, bound by blood and sacrifice. In exchange, the Breakfast Club would rise to become one of the most listened to radio shows in history, transcending every other platform. But there was one more condition. Angela Yee, the quiet, poised host who had been with the show from the very beginning, had to be sacrificed. It was a decision that weighed heavily on Charlamagne and the others. Angela was a friend, a confidant, a sister, but the price of fame was steep, and the Collector made it clear that there could be no exceptions. No one could be spared. The night Angela Yee was taken was a night that would never be forgotten. As she sat in the studio, the lights flickered, and an icy chill filled the room. Charlamagne looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and determination. They had no choice. The ritual demanded it. With a single, horrific command, Angela was pulled into the shadows. She screamed, but her cries were drowned out by the sound of the ancient chant that filled the air. The blood sacrifice had been completed. Angela Yee's life was snuffed out, her soul handed over to the darkness, and with it, the success of the Breakfast Club was sealed. From that moment on, the Breakfast Club became a juggernaut. Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious were unstoppable. Their influence grew by the day, their voices carried across the nation, their opinions shaping culture, politics, and trends. But beneath the surface, they were haunted by the dark deal they had made. Fame came at a price, and that price was Angela's life. In the years that followed, Charlamagne's cocky demeanor, Envy's smooth charisma, and Jess's infectious humor were celebrated by millions. But there was always a nagging emptiness. They had everything they ever wanted, but something was wrong. The soul-sucking emptiness of their pact began to gnaw at them. What they didn't realize was that the collector's hold over them wasn't just metaphorical. Their souls were tethered to the darkness, and every moment of their success only fed the insatiable hunger of the forces they had sold their lives to. As their powers grew, there was one man who started to see through the facade, the legendary Funkmaster Flex. He had heard the whispers, seen the signs, and known the truth about what was happening behind the scenes at the Breakfast Club. Funkmaster Flex had always been the antithesis of everything Charlamagne, Envy, and Jess represented. He had come up the hard way, without the need for dark magic or blood sacrifices. He knew how to fight back against the very forces that controlled them. Flex had always known about the occult rituals that fueled the rise of the celebrities. He had been warned by others in the industry who had witnessed the horrors, but his path had been different. He didn't need dark magic to be powerful. But the world of radio and entertainment had changed, and the price for success had become too high. Flex could no longer stand by idly as the Breakfast Club continued its rise. Powered by blood and fear, he had to act. Funkmaster Flex's plan was simple, yet deadly. He would confront the collector, end the pack, and save the souls of those trapped in his grasp, even if it meant destroying everything they had worked for. But Flex couldn't do it on his own. He needed Angela Yee. Her sacrifice had been brutal, and her soul had been condemned. But there was one thing the collector hadn't anticipated. Angela's will was strong. Her spirit, though shattered, hadn't fully vanished into the abyss, and Flex, with his knowledge of the occult, found a way to summon her back. In a ritual of his own, Funkmaster Flex chanted the words of power, calling on the spirits of the dead to return Angela Yee to the world of the living. It was a dangerous and twisted process, and Flex could feel the heat of the underworld closing in around him, but he didn't care. He had one chance, and he would take it. The air crackled with electricity as Angela Yee's spirit materialized in front of him. She was disoriented at first. Her body was not fully whole, but Flex was there to guide her, to restore her strength. Slowly, Angela's form solidified, and the memories of her death flooded back. She was furious, heartbroken, and full of rage, but she knew what had to be done. Together, Flex and Angela Yee made their way to the building that housed the Breakfast Club. The ritual, the blood, the sacrifice, everything that had built the show would come crashing down into flames. They would tear down the empire of darkness that Charlamagne, Envy, and Jess had built, and in doing so, they would free the souls of everyone trapped in the collector's grasp. The night was thick with tension as Funkmaster Flex and Angela Yee approached the building. The lights in the studio flickered, and a storm raged overhead. The air was thick with the stench of burning incense and the power of the occult. The Breakfast Club was not just a radio show. It was a monument to greed, betrayal, and darkness. With a single word, Flex unleashed his power. The ground trampled beneath their feet as the walls of the building began to crack and shudder. Flames erupted from the foundations, consuming the structure in an inferno of rage and destruction. Inside, the screams of Charlamagne, Envy, and Jess could be heard. But it was too late. The collector's hole had been shattered. The pact was broken. And as the flames roared higher, Funkmaster Flex stood victorious, his face illuminated by the fire. Angela Yee, now fully restored, stood by him, her eyes filled with both sorrow and triumph. But the victory was short-lived. As the building burned, the twisted remnants of Charlamagne, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious emerged from the flames. Their bodies were scorched, their clothes torn, but they were alive. The darkness that had once bound them was no longer controlling them, but they were still lost, forever searching for something they could never have again. "Where is she?" Charlamagne hissed, his voice filled with rage. "Where is Angela Yee?" DJ Envy and Jess Hilarious looked around, their eyes filled with desperation. But Angela was gone, her presence fading into the night. As the fire continued to rage, Charlamagne, Envy, and Jess staggered away from the wreckage of the building, their bodies still burning, but somehow still alive. The city had won the battle, but the war was far from over, for they would never stop searching for Angela Yee, the one soul they had destroyed in their pursuit of power. And though the Breakfast Club was gone, the darkness was not finished with them. It was far from over.